Jesus didn't have a problem with people that's in the streets. He had a problem with religious people.
How can I help anybody when when I was not even able to help my own son?
I would never do that. I would never do that. And I became that in a matter of minutes when they took my pain pills away.
And I said, I'm not where I want to be, but thank God I'm not what I used to be.
This is Faith in Your Recovery. I am Randy Davis. Welcome to the battle. Greetings, and as always, thanks for joining us here on Faith in Your Recovery. Our guest today comes to us from Eastern Kentucky, Jordan Doyle. I'll introduce her in just a moment. We've had the opportunity to talk here for the last 10 or 15 minutes. Set tight. I think there's a lot to be gained from hearing her story. A little different lifestyle than most of us, but every region has a different lifestyle, every family. I know you're going to connect. Jordan, welcome to the show.
Hi, it's nice to have you. Nice to be here.
It's good to have you as a part of it. We look forward to this time together. Thanks for the sacrifice you've made with it. Let's just kind of go back a few years in your life. Tell us where your struggles began, what young life looked like for you when you were growing up, and when the real challenges and problems began. Share that, please.
So like I put in my very first book, The Girl Who Named the Fire, that's where my main struggles went. That's what inspired a lot of people to say, it's not okay. I mean, it's okay to not be okay. I grew up in, it's not 1998. I have two moms, they're drug addicted. And so by the age of probably 3, I'm sitting on the ground and I'm making sure that their heart's still beating and their belly's still moving. And so I had to grow up very quickly. But what I did go through, the trauma and all that, because I would sit there and I watch them, fight each other, and I never know if I'm gonna walk in and then be alive or dead. So chaos became my comfort. Does that make sense? Chaos became my comfort.
It makes too much sense. That's a scary thought, but I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, and silence. And, it even carries with me 28 years later. Silence makes me sick. Like, it scares me. It makes me so sick, like my nervous system, my everything. And, start shaking, like it's bad. And that's just because, like I had spoken a little bit earlier with you, you only know what you're taught. So, who's out here to say, just because what I went through was taught by me, some people don't understand that's how it is. That's your
That's
second
all you
nature.
knew, what was going on before you, what was being modeled.
Exactly.
I'm sure in your own personal world, that was normal behavior. You didn't know
Absolutely.
things.
I still carry that with me today. I feel like I have to buy somebody's love, just to be honest. I feel like, if they don't fight and argue with me or do whatever, that they don't love me, you know? And it's crazy because I know, I know for a fact that I'm not the only one in this world who thinks, hey, I need to buy love. I need to have something to be loved. Or like I used to. I would have to, in my mind, I thought that if I had drugs or money, something somebody wanted, that they would come and they would want to hang around me. But the reality and truth of it is, when you're sitting there alone, you don't have no drugs. You look around and it's an empty room.
And the individuals that the drugs draw, the alcohol, whatever it may be, is not necessarily going to be the best of environments.
But it's crazy because that is the only loyal thing to us addicts that we'll ever have. No matter, you lose your mom, your dad, your brother, sister, etc. Guess what? Those drugs will never leave you.
Would you say that again? You said something like it's the most normal thing we addicts will ever have. Is that an accurate description?
Absolutely, yes. Like the comfort of our drugs will never leave us. And like it's the most loyal thing in the planet, Like you can only trust, you can't even trust yourself, but you can trust the drugs.
I In all of our episodes, I'd never heard it worded that way. I love it. I can envision it. I certainly know what you're saying. We always talk about the damage the drug can do to us and what it does do. But what you're saying is the good side, and you're not saying those words, but you're saying the good side of the drug. I know it's going to be there for me. And
Absolutely.
you know what it's going to do, even if it's a negative effect. So you do find a comfort with it. Wow. You
Yes.
just hit my button. It's going to cause me to have to think about that,
Yeah.
okay, to weigh it out. That's a great statement.
Well, see now, and like it's a situation I feel like I was in outpatient recovery after I had done my inpatient recovery. So, you know, she asked us, she said, "Would you ever take back your addiction?" Everybody said yes, yes, yes. And I said, I have an argumentative, response to that. I said, never would I ever take it away, take it back. I would literally live my life the same exact way, even though it was through addiction and everything. Because if I didn't go through that, I'll just be honest, I wouldn't know nothing, you know? Because I had to learn to be somebody my parents actually, or the way that I could understand my parents and actually have a relationship with them. And with that being said, well, why not get high with them? That's how my mind was. I just want to know. I want them to want me. I want them to love me more. So maybe, and it goes back. If I have drugs and I can give them to them, then hey, mom might pay attention to me. Or that's just the reality of it. I wouldn't take back my addiction. I would continue to have it. I would learn from it, and then I would come out like this on the other side.
The angle you're coming from here, and I say this with all respect to you, Jordan, is an angle I've never heard, a thinking I've never heard, an experience that I've never heard one like this. And we've done nearly 240 episodes. So I've had a little experience with this and in so many other ways. But for you to put it on the table like this challenges me to rethink several things, especially my own personal understanding of those who struggle with addiction. What is it that plays into this struggle? And you're helping me to understand that, and I'm sure many listeners as well. Thank you.
You're
What
welcome.
what was You talked about the chaos in your life.
Hmm.
What did that chaos look like? How did that play out?
That chaos looked like me watching somebody take a towel rack and beating somebody or beating my other mom across the head till there's blood everywhere. Or me walking in and one having one, by the throat under the bathwater. And the knives involved and all this, and it was just a survival of the fittest, man versus man. So I just wanted it to stop. I didn't want nobody to get hurt, so I would get in the middle of it, and that still didn't stop them. And that just shows you drugs will do anything, and drugs will change people and who they really are in a matter of seconds.
How old were you at that time when you're witnessing all of this?
I'm pretty sure I was 3.5 and 4, that I can recollect.
Do you recall memories prior to this chaos, or is this chaos your first memories?
No, you want to know, this is a hard one because a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, she's crazy." But I already know that. But used to the chaos that comforted me was when I was a baby, they would always turn on the Exorcist movie. And I was so used to the chaos that that was something I could fall asleep to in 2 seconds. I loved it. And that just shows you how somebody can twist your mind to the point of, a hard 20 some years to build on.
What a gauge to be able to say The Exorcist, at that age and you're asleep, you're not bothered by what's going on within the movie because you've witnessed it live. It had
Absolutely.
to, for lack of better terms and layman terms, callous your heart, callous your spirit. It had to just be something that I'm going to guess, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but led to the drugs, not just using with adults, but to numb some of what you had, the chaos that you had been through. Is that accurate?
No, not exactly at all.
Okay,
You
go
would,
ahead and tell us
you
what
would,
is, please.
you would think that. In all reality, somebody, in a good mindset would definitely think that. However, what happened was, and I was 18, and I had a girlfriend at the time. Well, she was on drugs really bad. So it got to a point where I'm watching somebody that I love kill themselves slowly. And I'd get mad and I'd get mad. And so I finally decided, well, if I have to watch somebody I love do drugs and kill them, if I did them, if I do them, maybe that'll make her quit. Okay, that was my own selfish decision though, because it correlated back into my childhood. I just wanted to
Earn.
have something in common, have a reason to want to be together, and that was all because of the drugs.
What what were your initial drugs of choice or availability, whatever the case was?
Like I said, I did not. I was 18 whenever I first took them. I went to the dentist, got my wisdom teeth cut out, and they prescribed me 42 Norco 10s, so pain pills. So after that, I just got higher and higher and higher, and went to 30s, and then actually eventually went to fentanyl. And getting off fentanyl, I had a stroke.
How old were you?
I was not, no, I was 20.
Okay. And you
I
had
was
a
20.
stroke at the age of
Yes,
20. Okay.
yes. And so everybody, like, literally, I had one person teach me how to walk, how to talk, all that. Like, I had to learn that alone. And if you can do that alone, listen, you can move mountains and do anything you put your mind to.
Maybe this is the time to ask. If not, you direct me to a better time. But your first book is titled The Girl Who Named the Fire.
Yes.
Tell us about that title. It seems to be like you're on fire there with the stroke and having to go back through that learning process. Your girlfriend and the struggles she was going through, and you're thinking. Go ahead and tell us what you mean by the title, The Girl Who Named the Fire.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you an image to think about. Okay, imagine your house is on fire, right? But there's one big circle, and you're in the middle of it. Okay, and so you can either stand in that circle and not be burnt, not be, need to turn to drugs, I guess you could say, or you can step out and you can make the decisions, the wrong decisions, and what are you going to do? You're going to either burn or it's going to kill you. And when I say that, I say a lot of things like that to almost like a riddle, I guess you could say. Read between the lines because that's really what these books are about. Not to only, show addiction and all that, but to actually put into people's brain and image and everything that it don't matter what happens, you're either going to make it or break it. So you're either going to be good or you're going to burn.
How did that title come to you? Did it come in the image you just shared in a spiritual way? Or did the image grow out of the title?
The image grew out of my heart and my gut. Does that make sense? It's
Go ahead and tell us a little more.
definitely the words in that moment, and what I was going through in that moment. It's definitely what my heart needed to put on there. I follow my heart with all my books. I don't just, bull crap them. And like I said, they're raw, they're brutal, they're just, smack in the face truth that a lot of people don't want to realize. So I took all that, and I'm like, like I said, this is either going to make me or break me. So I'm either going to dig my own hole because I overdose on drugs when I get out of rehab, or I'm just going to continue to rise and rise and rise. And I won't stop until, I continue to help people.
Your second book, $100 bill and a blue pill. I've got, excuse me, an idea what that may mean. I'd much rather hear your clarification.
Okay, so this all starts with back to the point of when I had this girlfriend. And I wanted to relate, and I wanted to relate to my parents. So I got addicted to Roxy 30s, and snorting them. And I mean, I know but that's just, you have to get that image with what I'm saying. So I remember my very first time going and buying drugs. And it was a Roxy 30. They made me crush it up in front of them. And I pulled out a dollar bill. And they said, "What are you doing? You don't use that." And I was like, "What?" Because it was my first time. And they said, "You use $100 bill." They said, "You don't want, a dollar bill that's been in some strippers, underwear." Just to be honest, that's exactly what was said. And so the $100 bill is what I first snorted my very first blue Roxy 30 with. And then I got on, and I stole a car, and I had a gun charge also. But it was because I had gotten Casey lawed, and just to be honest, I was having fun. Heck, why? I don't want to. I don't want to get sober. Lord, I'm just having a good time. And so I went to court for my Casey law, and I had stolen this car in Ashland. and court went good. They had to reschedule. So this ties in with the second book with the handcuffs. Um, and so I made it all the way to South Carolina. I got caught for GTA, and thank God, by the grace of God, all charges got dropped, and that was 2 felonies. So, all the praying to God that I was like, I just want to start over. I just want a clean slate. Okay, so he's gave me this third clean slate. I can't mess it up anymore. That $100 bill and that blue pill with those handcuffs and that meth pipe, it ain't gonna do nothing besides give me a shovel and let me go dig a 6-foot hole.
You know what? Your description's nothing like I had in mind. Thanks for clarifying that. I needed that, and I'm sure our listeners wanted to hear it as well. In book number 3, I'm sorry, I don't have that title in front of me right here. Tell us the title and give us a little, descriptive narrative, please.
Oh, okay. So it is called A Prisoner in Your Own Mind.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I have awful, terrible mental issues. Okay, when I am non medicated, I went into rehab non medicated. I was suicidal. I was homicidal. I was a danger to myself and a danger to others. And I might be 4'9" and 130 pounds, but I don't doubt myself. I'm scared of my own self, you know. So I can't stand to sit in silence. It's the loudest thing you'll ever hear.
You mentioned that earlier.
Yes, silence is the biggest thing, especially with people who are struggling with emotional, physical, just any kind of abuse or rising of how they're raising their household and even how they raise their children. You are going to either let your mind control you and be a miserable, misery brings company. So you're either going to let everybody around you be miserable because you are, or you can change everything. You can grieve and you can verbally put it out there, because if I keep it quiet and I'm miserable, then who knows, that neighbor next door ain't gonna commit suicide because they're being a prisoner and they don't think they can talk to anybody.
Wow. Jordan, you shared so many pieces and, destructive moments and behaviors and experiences with us. How do you label your rock bottom? What was that moment, that experience?
When the lights went out in my eyes. When the
Say that
lights
again.
when the lights went out in my eyes, with the any light and life and just anything, my soul, anything left in me, just gone. I This is the way I like to word it. I'm alive, but I'm just living.
You're existing, not living.
Yeah. So it's just like I'm there, my body's there, but my mind's gone a long way. And I see people like that a lot, a whole lot. And I'm like, it's so sad because they don't even understand that they're alive, but they're just living.
When we spoke before our episode began, I told you I wanted you to be raw, real, honest, and transparent. You're 4 for 4, lady.
Absolutely.
Awesome job. Now, let's change gears just a little. We've heard those struggles, that pain, and we can still see it in your eyes and hear it in the inflection of your words. You're living it again, and you're sharing that with us.
Yep.
Praise God for that. Now,
Amen. Yeah.
What was the lights on moment? What was that come to Jesus moment? How did that play out for you? But just a minute, before you answer that, we've got a question from one of our listeners. Let's hear that, and then we'll go back to this question. Go ahead, Eric. I see it there. You survived what was meant to destroy you. How are you using your story today to be the answer to someone else's prayer? That's from a longtime listener of our show, Sean Harris. What? Go ahead and answer that for Sean.
Honestly, I'm just releasing everything and letting others know, hey, like you don't have to put a facade on. Just be raw, say the truth, and who knows if somebody just prayed last night, hey, like I wish somebody would come in my life and let me hear those words. Or even prayed for another thing. And you don't know what other people's mind and just perspectives go to. So if I can step in and say something that maybe you prayed for, that's awesome.
You, I, you touched something there that made me curious. You've written 3 books. Did you, had God revealed to you enough of your life in the very beginning to write all those books, if it were possible in the same day? Or have those books been progressive and God's revealed this much to you and, reminded you of experiences and struggles and victories? And then he does it again at the next level so you can do book 2, and then same thing with book 3. Or could those have been written at the same time?
I prayed. I prayed very hard for the entire 6 months I was in recovery. I'm going to that altar and I'm just letting it all out. And it sounds crazy, but in a dream, I had dreamed and I heard the words, just trust me. And I took that and I ran with it. And I still have God by my side the entire time. And that's because obedience leads to restoration. So if I don't follow what the Lord is wanting me to, and in that aspect it was to share my story. That's my legacy, is just to touch one person or help just one person. And that is, listen, that's what I prayed for. I
And
prayed that this would help anybody else going through this, because you've got 11 and 12-year-olds committing suicide now, all because they're getting bullied and everything. So it's an awful time and age.
and yes, so well said. Thank you for that answer. Let's go back to my question now. What was the lights on moment? That time where you knew that you knew that you knew it's got to change. And yeah, how'd that come to you? How'd
Oh,
that play?
that's a great one. That right there is a great one. So I had wrote a 5-page letter, and I don't even honestly remember what it was. I think it was to take to the judge to get me out of Frontier, where I had went to rehab at. And it was 5 pages front and back, and I hit it and everything, and we went to court. So, the judge was about to say, his sentences and his sentence and all that, and I was like, "Whoa, can I please share this story?" And I was like, "I've had 4 aunts commit suicide. I have a first cousin in Florida for murder. You know, I understand how bad everything is, and I said, I'm not asking for a pity party. I'm asking you to give me a chance and help me. And do you know how hard it is to stand in front of somebody and say, help me? Just those 2 words. and mean it from
That's
the
where,
heart.
that's so often where it begins. And what was the judge's verdict on you at that time?
Looking back now, I wish that he would have agreed with the attorney, and the attorney said, you know, I think should be cut off with her mother, because her mother is her most big, you know, problem, I guess you could say, a influence. And so my mom starts crying, and the judge was like, no, like, I'm not going to do that. And, you know, if I could go back, which I already said, I wouldn't change a thing. But if I could go back, I would definitely have agreed with what that attorney said. But if you look at me now, all I had to go through rehab with my mom inspired me to be everything I never want to be again.
Wow. Now, here's here's the big one in some ways, but I'm sure you're up for it. What was what was your introduction to Christ? What did that experience look like?
It looked like I walked into church. It was my
Had you
second
been
day.
attending this church for a while?
It was my second day in rehab, and it was the church the rehab went to. And
Okay.
I'll just be honest. I had a F you, F this, F that shirt on. Okay? And then I had a black hoodie on that I would hide under. And something drew me to, you know, walk up front. And this woman, she grabs my hand and she said, all you need is the faith of a mustard seed. I still have that seed, and I still carry that seed with me every day. And when there's people that I talk to that I think might need help, I give them a seed. Because if you want it bad enough, listen, it only takes just talking to the good Lord above. And eventually I went and had gone to the altar, would go every time, multiple times, until I felt like connected enough. And so then I actually got baptized 3 times while in rehab. So I don't think I would have even started a new connection with the Lord, with church, anything like that, had it not been me getting placed in rehab.
Jordan, as I've listened to your story, I'm amazed by you and the person you are. So I want to preface that because with this question, it may not sound that way, but I mean it as an absolute total positive. It's more of a comment than a question.
Hmm.
You haven't taken the normal route to recovery. I don't know what that route is, but you haven't taken it, and you have found success in
Hmm.
multiple ways.
Yep.
Your story was different. Your recovery's been different. Hooray for you. In
Hmm.
all ways, I admire that totally. But as I hear your experience in church, as I hear your experience with the drugs, the home life that you were a part of,
Hmm.
this is not a script anybody
Mm-mm.
other than God
No.
could have drawn ahead of time.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
And you use the word obedient in the beginning, and
Hmm.
it's obviously been a strong word and a true ethic in your life. Spiritual congratulations on all of that, for sure. Uh, Tell us about your growth in Christ, how he led you to these books or whatever his play was in that, and what it's been like for you since choosing to serve Christ.
You know, I'm not going to say that he is the full reason that I am in recovery, because obviously I have to put myself before God, or yeah, you have to work on you before you can put anybody else above you. So it becomes me first and God second. Because without me, God can't do anything for me if I'm gone because of drugs. So I really learned that a lot in the last few months of when I before I got out of rehab, was just put your trust in God, and
Submit.
just no matter what he's gonna, you just ask for forgiveness. We are not bad people. We just make bad choices. All we
Amen.
got to do is ask for forgiveness and guidance. And I promise you, it might not be the time you want it to be. It might not be, you know, instant verification or whatever. But just know that He does hear you and He will answer whatever you need. And it might not be the exact way you wanted it to be. But
That's his plans above and beyond ours. His thinking's far greater than ours. He
absolutely.
sees the from the end till now, not just to tomorrow.
Yep.
And we've got to be obedient along the way. As a parallel to what you said about you being first and then God, I've always said you can pray for the farm and God may give you the acreage. He's not going to drive your tractor.
There
He
you
just
go.
simply doesn't do that.
Right.
So you committed, you had that faith the size of a mustard seed,
Yep.
you moved, or he moved more properly, the mountain because of that. And
Yep.
he's continuing to move it and open other highways and journeys in your life. What are
Hmm.
your goals, Jordan? We've got about 7, 8 minutes here left. What are your goals for the future? More
I,
books? Do you have ministry you're working with? How are you playing out your faith?
how I'm playing it out is I I want to advocate for young teens, young adults, just anybody suffering with dual diagnosis things. But I also want to bring in, that God, like those scriptures or something that, like I said, it all goes back to something maybe somebody needs to hear. And so, with me bringing, you know, my beliefs into it, as well as parts of addiction that maybe they're relating to and they're going to, then that's exactly what I want to do. God told me to write these books. Trust me, I didn't just sit down one day and get stressed and my head about blow off, writing. I done it because I just felt my heart it needed to be told. And I'll always listen to what God guides me to do because He can't guide me wrong, you know?
Awesome. Uh, you're just remaining open. Uh, you know, for lack of better terms, and from the subjects we've been speaking of, you yourself are an open book, and you want God to get it in the hands and the hearts of others, so it
Absolutely.
can aid in their healing. Tell us, Jordan, how do we get a hold of your books? Should we want book one, two, or three? How do we go about that?
Actually, you can order directly from me from either my email, which is jordandoylebooks.com. I mean at gmail.com, or my phone number, and that's 606-259-1990.
Could you
That's
repeat both of those for us, please? That email, then your phone number.
Yeah, the email is jordandoylebooks at gmail.com, and the phone number is 606-259-1990. And that is
Awesome.
the two best ways to contact me. Just, get a hold of me. I'll send an invoice. I also am making merch. So I am in the process of making t-shirts. And then my website that I'm building currently is healinglooksgoodonyouco.com. So
Awesome.
this is getting real. You know, I'm not
Absolutely.
stopping. I've got people judging me and all that, but listen, I don't care.
Naysayers have always been a building block instead of a stumbling stone for me.
Hmm.
Uh, you can have your thoughts. You're entitled to those, right or wrong,
Amen.
godly or ungodly. You know, he
Yep.
gives us that ability, that choice. But
Hmm.
because you're a naysayer, it's up to me if I'd let that influence me in a negative way. Or
Yep.
maybe there's a positive in there somewhere. Maybe you're half right on your
Yep.
assessment of me. And I
Hmm.
look at that and I decide what I'm going to do with it. Listen,
Yep.
we've just got a couple, 3 minutes here. Is there
Okay.
anything you'd like to finish up with, Jordan?
I would definitely like to say that anybody, I don't care what time, day, night, I don't care, that I would love if you need help or you need to talk about something, who knows, whatever it may be, you know, before you decide, I can't do this no more. I just want to end it all. Or just, hey, I'm so stressed and depressed. Contact me. I do not care. Contact me directly, and I will be there, even if it's to listen, even if it's to give you advice. If it can help you in any way, reach out to me without hesitation.
Give us that phone number again.
It is 606-259-1990.
Folks, we've had about 45 minutes here with Jordan, and she hadn't failed to lay it on the line. She shot you straight. She told you her struggles, her victories, her, that faith moment there at church with that seed and how that seed has grown and the mountains it's moved in her life. Guess what? The promise is the same for you. Maybe your history doesn't look like Jordan's. Maybe
There you
it's
go.
totally different, but whatever your struggle has been, the scripture remains. The
Yeah.
faith, the size of a mustard seed, that's like the end of your ink pen or pencil. Uh,
Amen.
but move the mountains in your life. Your mountain may be relationships. Your mountain may be addiction. The striving for success. Your mountain can
Yes.
look. No two mountains are the same. Let me
No.
get to that. But the God who promises you can overcome them is, and he's bigger than any mountain he created. He's in charge of the mountain. He owns the mountain. He knows how to beat it, and he'll
Yep.
show you. God bless. Thanks for tuning in today to our Faith in Your Recovery podcast. We've been talking about grace in the trenches and the God who provides that unmerited favor. Stick around with us in the weeks to come. We've got more to share. Thank you, Jordan. God bless. And folks, as I always like to say, stay in the battle. God bless and amen. We love
God
you.
bless you guys. If y'all need help, just call and reach out.